Circus of Safety followers, and how are we all today? I hope you are tucked up well, and if you're in the land of Aotearoa are hiding from what is a battering of weather coming in our way. But hey, listen, firstly, Des, good morning. How are you, mate?
Good morning. I'm doing good. How about yourself?
Oh, mate, just living the dream, brother. Living the dream. I mean, what a better way to start a dreary Friday than spending my morning with you fellas. Andy, what about you, mate? How are you?
I'm good. I'm a bit concerned about my microphone. Can you hear me all right?
We can hear you right now, Andy. I'm just noticing you look a little bit tired there, mate. Is everything okay? Oh, we lost you there for a sec. Is everything okay, Andy? Come in, Earth to Andy. That's your typical consultant approach, right? Just smile and nod. Smile and nod. Yeah, mate, we can hear you. Can you hear us? Are you okay? Are you all right, mate? Just checking in.
I can hear you now. It's been a chaotic week.
A chaotic week.
Now coming up that my PC needs to restart, so I don't know what that means.
Oh my goodness. Now, yeah, I was just saying, I don't know if you heard us, but I'm a little bit concerned. You look a bit tired, mate. Are you all right?
To be perfect, thanks for noticing. I appreciate that. I am a little bit tired. It's been a tough week. This is the first time for 7 years that I've done 5 days of work.
Go on, cross the river, mate. Cross the river.
I'm exhausted, man.
Are you going to get through today? Okay. Are you going to be all right on the show?
Yeah, I think the thing that's keeping me going is that I'm taking a week's leave next week and going to Fiji. So I don't think if that wasn't there, I wouldn't be able to do the 5 days.
Wow. Well, hey, listen, Des, I don't know about you, mate, but I feel grateful that Andy could dial in today. Absolutely grateful.
I think we might need to get him to leave a bit early just to give him a bit of a break.
Well, mate, I mean, you and I carry the show anyway, right? So what's a couple of minutes without Andy? Hey, listen, let's before we get into it, mate, let's, as we always, let's jump over to our disclaimer. Now, we might have a few issues here due to some possible budget cuts, I believe.
Yeah, well, let's see how we go. We're planning to improvise, but I just wanted to highlight the fact that we're continuing this jump in the amount of listeners that we've got. And I think we're on about 975. So we're just at the cusp of 1,000. But I thought it might be prudent to recap our disclaiming journey.
Nice.
Those familiar with our early shows will know that our early disclaimers were off the cuff and not very well thought out. And I received a lot of criticism for this, verbal abuse, physical threats.
And right,
I then took the approach. It was bad. I then took the approach of providing a detailed legal disclaimer, but again, the vitriol was unnerving. I was then introduced to the idea of disclaiming differently, and since then, we've been on a new view disclaiming journey. We've explored different ways of generating engagement with our disclaimers to an international audience. Our journey will also feature at the Disclaiming Conference in Geneva later this year. I'm pleased to say, though, that we've taken it further. We've taken disclaiming to another galaxy.
Dun, dun, dun.
This royalty-free Star Wars music really leaves a lot to be desired. But in a safety-conscious galaxy far, far away, the Circus of Safety emerges as a beacon of knowledge. It is a time of exploration and caution as we share insights on safety matters. While we strive to provide valuable guidance, we are not Jedi Masters of legal or safety expertise. Listeners, be aware that the force of safety is with you, but for personalized advice, consult the experts who navigate the legal galaxies. As you embark on this podcast journey, may the wisdom of professionals guide your path through the Circus of Safety.
Oh, sorry, I got a bit stuck there. That was brilliant, Des. Love your work, brother. Love your work as always. Absolutely amazing. Now, Andy, just a regular check-in here. It's becoming a feature. I tell you what, the the messages that I'm personally getting, and he's not even my apprentice, that's flooding in about our wee young safety apprentice, Oliver. How things going with Oliver the last couple of weeks?
Oh, I don't know. I haven't seen him. I've been too busy working.
So you're telling me you've left him unsupervised?
That would be an exaggeration.
Well, it sounds. I mean, I mean, don't we talk about workers' training and supervision? Isn't that a core fundamental aspect of?
Absolutely is. But I also think that empowerment of the workers is incredibly important as well. And I feel over the last 2 weeks, through empowering Oliver, he's probably grown and developed way more than he could have done under the strict supervision of a safety consultant.
This is why Des and I don't use consultants, mate, because you guys just absolutely dribble. I tell you, in-house all the way, brother. In-house all the way. Oh my giddy aunt. Listen, Andy, when are you going to be getting back home to Oliver? I mean, everyone's kind of worried and wondering, when are you
this
planning
afternoon?
On getting back home?
About 4 o'clock this afternoon, I think. Hopefully.
So you can't even call that a full day's work, mate. Okay. Hey, listen, I know Andy's got to pop off and apparently do some work. So I reckon we get into this, guys. What do you think? Spin the wheel?
Spin the wheel.
Let's do it.
Nice. There we go. Okay. Well, here we go. Super excited. It's actually quite nerve-wracking that we started off with this massive amount of stuff on the wall, and it's slowly but surely whittling down. We're gonna republish stuff on the wall, and we've got some other topics we want to put up. But I tell you, I'm getting quite excited about some of these topics coming up. These are the real meaty ones, eh?
Yep, absolutely. Let's get it spinning. Get it spinning.
Here we go. Here we go. Wow, there we go. What do you know? Should health and safety or H&S report to HR? Wow, what a topic to start a Friday. I know in the world of safety, I guess this is, so I'm having a few nightmares here, boys. In the world of safety, this is often the thing, right? Is that safety does often report to H&R. So first off, we'll go to Andy in case we lose him. I mean, your initial thoughts, mate. What do you think of this? H&S reporting to HR.
Going to be a quick show today? No, absolutely not. Never.
Whoa! What have you got wrong? What have you got against HR people, mate?
Nothing at all. I've got nothing against any individual group at all. It's just the structure doesn't make any sense to me.
Okay, well, fascinating. Okay, well, yeah, it sounds like it's going to be a real quick show then. Des, your thoughts? H&S reporting to HR. What's your initial kind of outcome?
A very quick show. No, never.
Spin the wheel.
We can't spin the wheel twice, man. Like, honestly, surely we can drag this out for another little while.
We've done it before.
We definitely have done it before. I've just gone to the chat. There's no one chiming in. Okay, this could be over before we know it. But hey, listen, I'm gonna contradict you too. I don't think it's a bad place. I mean, where else would you see it reporting? I mean, I would suggest that maybe HR is the place for health and safety reporting into. I mean, because let's be fair, right? Health and safety is all about looking after people, right? And people are human resources, right? And so hence the H&S reporting to HR. So I think I'm going to be a little bit more controversial again, and I don't think I'm going to agree with you two guys today on the show. And I think it's worth a look-see. I definitely think it's worth a look-see. It'd be really cool to get some initial thoughts on it. But I mean, Andy, let's explore. Let's go to Des actually. Des, you're categorically in the no camp. Really understood to understand why. Why are you categorically no?
Because the way that those two roles or functions engage with the business is radically different. And so you can't engage in two different ways at the same time.
For the unlearned people, possibly like myself, do you want to just kind of explain that a bit more?
I thought I was quite clear.
No, you weren't. Wait, I'm lost. I was lost about 10 sentences ago. So,
So look, both functions serve to advise and guide the business with respect to the areas of expertise.
Yep.
But the way that an effective health and safety person engages with the business is very collaborative and persuasive and nudging and lots of different techniques. And I don't see HR quite functioning the same way in the way that they engage with the business. Their methods will be different. And I don't want to comment on what those methods might be because I'm not an HR professional.
But I guess if we peel it back to the core of HR and H&S, right? It's about the people part of the business, right? And in terms of health and safety, there's obviously some very technical components, but at the end of the day, it is in relation. There's a huge connection back to our people. So you don't think it's worth kind of going back to the roots of those two departments as such?
Yeah, but I disagree that the roots are people in both instances.
Okay, interesting. I mean, Andy, again, you categorically no. Do you want to just kind of expand on that a little bit? What are your thoughts on why categorically no?
Well, I think that safety should report to the most senior operational person in the business directly. And my reason for that is that there's implications and obligations in terms of the role of officers. And the more different steps you've got in between there, the more you blur that whole due diligence piece. So you really want, I would imagine if you were an officer or a chief executive, who probably would be an officer, you would want a direct line to safety rather than get the information getting filtered. And that's primarily my reason. I mean, what Des is alluding to is also very true, that there is different purposes there. But for me, safety is, well, it's ill-defined, as you both know.
I was waiting for that. Absolutely.
In my mind, largely speaking, it's to do with the control of hazards. And that's a specifically technical skill rather than managing people, which isn't really safety, that's just management.
Well, Andy, what do you think? I'm glad you finally brought up the definition piece, because I've been waiting, as I'm sure has our audience, waiting for Andy to rattle on about something not defined. What are your thoughts then around the definition of HR? I mean, where do you currently sit on the spectrum of defined or undefined in that one?
I don't really know enough about HR to comment really on that. I've never particularly been fond of the term human resource, though. For me, it seems a bit objectifying and sort of goes a little bit against.
Mate, do you want a tree and some holding hands and some kumbaya, or?
No, but I just wonder how it sits with that. I mean, that would be probably, in my mind, that would be more of an interesting conversation about the relationship between HR and well-being, or wellness, or welfare. Because I think, for me, safety is a little bit more technical than the whole well-being set. And I think HR and well-being, I think there's a much tighter knit there than there is between safety and well-being.
And so I don't necessarily disagree with that comment. I guess, Des, I mean, your thoughts on the definition of HR, and I mean, where you think it sort of sits?
Well, I'd probably naturally gravitate to defining those two areas based on the legislation that applies. And thumbs up from Andy on that point. But on one instance in New Zealand, you've got the Employment Relations Act.
Do you want me to leave? Do you want me to leave the show and you two just sort of sit there and whisper sweet nothings into each other's ears or something?
So on the one hand, you've got the Employment Relations Act, you've got I think it's the Holidays Act, you've got the Human Rights Act, and that's sort of core to an HR function. And for health and safety, you've got the Health and Safety at Work Act, the regulations, and other legislation that might apply, and safe work instruments. So you're dealing with a completely different legal body of guidance and requirements.
Yeah. What about? Can I spin this back to you, Brenton, a little bit? Am I allowed to do that?
Well, You can try. No, well,
let me frame this question. Okay, so let's just go back along before you reach the lofty heights in your organisation that you are now, when you were merely a safety skivvy, and your boss calls you in. Brenton, in you come. I've got some news for you. Oh, yep, we're going to do a bit of a restructure, and moving forwards, we've got you reporting to HR. What would your reaction to that be?
Des, can I have some form of disclaimer, please? No, well, I work for a organisation. I guess would be probably sitting in the category of medium-sized organisation, and the HR function. And again, this goes back to my statement, though. The HR function, to some extent, to a large extent, apart from the legality aspect of it around employment contracts and what they look like, and pay rate, and FBT and all that other kind of stuff, apart from the technical stuff, which actually has ended up sitting with our accounts team, largely the HR function has come across to me. So and again, because it's about the going back to your statement around the connection between HR and sort of well-being or the welfare of our people. It's all much in the same, but then you have got the back to Des's point, and I guess I'm just being a little bit cagey, and I'll explain why I'm being a little bit cagey, because I'm pretty confident. I know it's all blurring into one now, all these shows that we run, but we ran a show, and the topic that we ran was my topic, and it was along the lines of why not abolish health and safety. Do you guys remember that show?
Yep.
I think I convincingly won that we should abolish health and safety. So, I just don't want to go.
That's not how I remember it.
I just don't want to repeat a show, but my wonder is, if we go back to the role of safety is around managing controls and or supporting the business and implementing controls to manage risks that arise from hazards. I guess I would like to think it was BAU stuff, and that falls under, you'd almost, again, I don't want to repeat the show, but almost abolish health and safety and split the role, like take the technical stuff out of the role of the health and safety person, and those people should become more around general work advisors or general business advisors, as opposed to a specialist safety role and function, I guess. Controversial, maybe. Do you agree with me? Not sure. But yeah, that's kind of my space. I'm a little bit nervous there, Andy. So in my current line of work, the HR function predominantly, apart from the legality stuff, which Des went on about, actually has fallen under my remit. So I've got a bit of a flip side situation, as opposed to HR reporting to safety reporting to HR. You'd argue HR reports to safety in operations in my current situation.
Yeah, I think that's how it would work best, possibly, if you put it under operations, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, Des, how does it look for you? I mean, without potentially setting your employer up for some legal challenges. I mean, do you have a separate HR department, or are you? What are your thoughts? Does it fall into you a little bit in that space?
A separate HR department, and I'm lucky in the sense that the health and safety function reports directly to an officer of the company. But this has come up in the past where it's like, health and safety and HR has a lot of overlap, and actually I completely disagree with that comment, because there's actually a clear line of delineation where health and safety would end and HR would begin in any particular circumstance. There's actually almost no overlap. Now, there's no reason why someone couldn't perform both roles, but I would liken that to a car that's been designed to be both a sports car and a people mover. You can definitely design a car to do both, but it won't be excellent to both. You'll have to make compromises.
Unless your name is Brenton Harrison, obviously.
You'll have to make compromises.
Fair call, Des. And I guess that's why we like you, Des. You're pretty black and white and to the point, and really like to bring us back down to reality, I guess. So I guess, where do you see? I guess I'm just kind of on the looking at sort of the HR kind of safety function. I mean, where do you then, Des? Where can you kind of give your thoughts around where the baton's passed, or when the baton would be passed between, say, HR and safety? I mean, to kind of help us understand that a little bit more.
Well, a great example is like drug and alcohol, managing that. So your health and safety, in order to minimize the risk of the use of substances on site, might run a random drug and alcohol test, and then an employee might test non-negative for that. And basically, at that point, they might be stood down or put on special leave or whatever the terminology is. But as soon as that risk is removed from the site, that now becomes an HR issue. And then you send the results off to the lab, get your positive or negative result, whatever, and then HR manage the outcome of that. But there's a clear line where the health and safety role in that situation ends and the HR role starts.
Cool. No, great example. I mean, Andy, what are your thoughts around? I mean, you said, I guess, and if I'm misquoting you, apologies for that. You felt maybe there was a bit of grey. I mean, has Des convinced you there is no grey? HR is HR, safety, and the two shall not meet, but only hand stuff over the fence?
I wouldn't. Yeah, a lot broadly, but I don't think it's quite as cut and dry as Des is making out in a practical sense. Because the reality is that in many businesses, you've got the same person doing both roles. And therefore, there's going to be overlaps between them in an operational sense. And I think that can be actually quite problematic, particularly around investigations and things like that. Because if you do a thorough investigation and it's all that whole no blame, we just want to find the cause to stop it happening again, you do that with your safety hat on. But then someone's broken some quite significant rules, then the same HR person's got to come in and sack them. You know, it can get quite problematic. But I think, you know, if Des was running the show, I think there would be very clear structures around where that line was. And I think, you know, Des is very good at that and defining parameters and things. But I would suggest that most businesses, especially small, medium ones, that are big enough to have HR, but not too big to have like a massive HR team, they wouldn't have any of these grey areas at all. It'd just be all lumped together. And it's like, that's your job.
I mean, it'd be interesting to hear from some of the HR listeners. We do have a few HR people that listen to the show, and it'd be really interesting to get their viewpoint on that. I also, I mean, I do feel, I don't agree, but I do agree, but I don't agree. I think in any organization, regardless of the role, even if we take out the safety HR context, I think roles need to be clearly defined. I think there needs to be some clear handover points and some clear markers for that, because I mean, I just going back to some of the HR people that I've been involved with over the years, and lovely people, almost as wishy-washy, if not more so than Andy. But I guess that's that they live that consultant life, right? But I think sometimes maybe even the HR team are maybe a little bit confused as to where that line is and that delineation. And I guess I wonder, is it because the world's changing and the, you know, you talk about the concept of work and home and work and it all being one. I mean, Des, what are your thoughts on how those two, that concept of work and home and work and how those lines are being blurred more and more today? I mean, do you think that's causing any confusion with the HR versus safety aspect of it?
No, because I think that confusion existed before any of that became a massive issue with COVID. I think Andy really hit on something before, that it really comes down to the actual organization itself, and if having the HR and HSE function combined suits the business, then that can't be an issue. That's fine. Go with it. I think for a large organization, it would be problematic. But if it suits the organization, yeah, that's fine.
So I don't know what's happening, but I'm getting comments on my phone, but they're not coming up on our board here.
Oh.
So the point you just made there is excellent. So
thanks. I tried, mate. I've been working really hard to really contribute to the show a bit more.
There's been some comments come up, and so one is really important. So it's from someone. It's Rebecca Clift, who's a HR/H&S coordinator, and her comment is not chiming in, as controversial topic given my role.
I love controversy.
And then we've also got a comment from Shivashni over in Brisbane. Oh, team, I got my Circus of Safety cups. We'll send some photos today. And then she's also added, in my current role, I report directly to the state manager. State manager. I find it adds more value and can make a difference in this. Make more of a difference in this way.
So I'm taking that Savashni reports probably more to like an operational lead by the sounds of it, potentially. So it'd be interesting to get some clarity on that, Savashni. And I mean, I guess that's a brilliant question. Clearly, we've got the H&S covered in our little kind of threesome here, right? Do we have HR covered? Do we have a dedicated HR advisor? Because I'm actually would like to maybe put a complaint in.
What? You want to what?
Yeah, exactly. Where's the HR now and then the Circus of Safety, boys? Because again, I'm likening this to I don't actually know what it is, but this whole mug thing. I still don't have a mug, and now I feel like you're just rubbing my nose in it. Absolutely.
I've got a complaints box right here.
Oh, wow.
We can administer that in due course.
Maybe, now that I've jumped on my phone, Rebecca, listen, maybe I could reach out to get some guidance on how I could how I could address the situation that I've currently found myself in a little bit better. So slightly, again, getting a little bit, maybe hopefully not offside with our HR listeners, but Andy, I mean, your thoughts in terms of HR and health and safety. Then let's just say, I mean, how do they work together? How does that kind of happen in your mind?
I don't know.
Oh, Des, have you got any thoughts? Because clearly our consultant's out of ideas.
Well, I can give you another example of where they might interact. And although I think that there's a clear line where a specific duty or task is HR or HSE, I think that there's still a lot of collaboration that needs to happen. An investigation is a great example. Another one might be injury management.
Yes.
Sometimes that can be part of the HR function. Sometimes it can be part of the health and safety function. Sometimes it can be its own function. But either way, if you're doing injury management in-house, you need to have a high level of collaboration with health and safety and HR.
Yeah, I think, Des, you've hit on something there, regardless of maybe the department or the area of responsibility within an organization, right? You can't be working in isolation because at some point, right, there's going to need to be a handover. At some point, there's going to need to be a connection. And sometimes those handovers or those baton changes will be occurring at regular phases throughout an employee's journey, right, through that organization, from when they first engage with the organization at the very start, through to the time that an individual may depart from an organization. I guess there's going to be those interactions. So collaboration is key. I mean, Andy, in terms of your thoughts around collaboration, I mean, have you, I guess, being the worldly consultant that you are, Des and I are quite isolated in our little kingdoms here, but in terms of your worldly experience, have you come across some great examples of collaboration between maybe, say, the H&S department and the HR department?
Can I make a complaint here? I'm getting stitched up. There's question after question that I don't know the answer to. You're making me look foolish in front of potential clients.
But I don't need to make you look foolish. You do that all on your own.
No, I can't think of. I honestly can't think of any. But what it has triggered in me is a sort of slightly different pathway.
What a nervousness and
the well-being psychosocial thing, because I actually think we've found a home for it all. Because if you look at this, what are defined loosely as psychosocial hazards or psychosocial risks, many of them are the domain of HR in my mind. It's things like workload, scheduling, pressure. That's not really a safety issue because they're not really hazards as such. They're really things that are generated by the business that cause harm to people. And I think that's where well-being, wellness, all that actually sits, is actually with HR.
Okay, well, I mean and again, and then that goes back to Des's comments regarding collaboration, right? They may need some guidance and collaboration and some support around how do I manage how do we put controls in place potentially for some of the stuff. I had something there, and I was going to be witty, funny, and intellectual all at the same time, but I seem to have lost it. Yeah, no, gone. So there's, I guess, just jumping back up to you because clearly Andy's, wading through a deep dark place at the moment, and we want to look after him as best we can, considering he's actually done, believe it or not, 5 days work. Des, I mean, any pros? So let's put it out there. I mean, in your thoughts, let's look at the traps. Let's maybe talk about the traps quickly. In terms of what do you see as some of the traps if that HR, H&S roles aren't clearly defined, or those areas kind of handed over? What would you suggest would be some traps to look out for?
I think the biggest traps in my experience is when the HR or health and safety function, whether it's combined or separate, tries to tell the business what it should do.
Yep.
I think the business should say we want to achieve this particular thing, and then HR and health and safety should facilitate how the business gets there and give options and advice. And the law says this, and best practice says this, and the latest case law says this, and these are our options, and this is the risk associated with that. And I think the only time I've seen any sort of structure fall down, no matter whether it's combined HR, health and safety, or otherwise, it's when they try and run the business and tell the business what they can and can't do.
Yeah, good point. And I think you and I are very closely aligned on that. I really think our role and the role of HR, I guess, where there's so much legal ramifications potentially, and there's a bunch of things to jump through. It's about providing the officers making those decisions with sufficient information so that they can make informed decisions for the business, right? And it's interesting how there's other professions as well where I guess similar things would potentially play out. But people feel that they've got to force the business into doing the right thing, right? And I'm a little bit more, well, we can only advise, we can only guide, we can only provide information. And it's our role to provide that information in a way that's palatable and understandable for the organization to then make an informed decision. So high five to you there, Des. I mean, Andy, are you back with us, mate? Like, is everything okay? What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts around traps in relation to, we'll keep this simple for you, HR reporting to health or safety reporting to HR?
I think the biggest problem would be the filtering and miscommunication.
Yep.
If there's a lot of safety is quite generic and people have a broad understanding of it, but the specific things people just get wrong. And if that's then being fed up to the officers of your organization and it's being filtered by someone that doesn't really understand maybe the essence, they might understand the essence of what you're doing, but not the nuances of it. I think that's hugely problematic.
Yeah,
especially if your officers aren't particularly well educated in this field themselves.
Yeah, but and I guess you've hit on a good point there, right? Regardless of which departments or teams or people are trying to interact with each other, and it's more important, I guess, where the ramifications or potential consequences are higher. But that communication is key, right? And yeah, so much so that it was actually quite exciting. Managed to roll out, and I've developed with a colleague some communication training, which we're rolling out in our business at the moment, which is quite exciting. Okay, just as we prepare to let Andy kind of head off and ease into his 5th day of work, heaven forbid. Andy, any final thoughts on this topic, mate?
I think, like we started very early on, in my mind, and like you've just highlighted there, actually, I'm not sure that reporting to HR is the challenge that I have with it. It's the fact that anything that gets in the way of a direct report up to an officer or someone very senior is problematic.
So something to consider, I guess, when formulating those organizational structures, right? How do you ensure that critical information is got to who it needs to in the way that it needs to as quickly as it can? Des, your final thoughts on the topic, mate?
Yeah, I would just expand on Andy's point a bit and say that an officer of an organization, I don't believe, could actually be achieving due diligence if they've got a filter in place through HR And there's a broader issue there, I think, with I'm going to bring back the InchPo definition of a professional, is someone that isn't a frontline person but is making decisions around strategy, and I think that's problematic as well. I think the officer needs a direct insight into what's happening at the front line, and you're going to have serious problems achieving due diligence if you don't have that.
Yeah, well, that's a whole nother maybe topic for the wheel, right? How to achieve due diligence in 2024. Hey, I don't know what's going on, but we seem to have our chat function back. Great work, Andy. Thanks for sorting that out. Just before we sort of wrap up, Matthew Sagrove, a regular feature of the show. Hi, Matthew. How are you? Traps or opportunities? Well, if HR or HS functions are important in achieving a consistent state of, the human assets in the business, then collaborating is needed. It is also important to right-size both functions for the business they exist in. And I think, Matthew, that's spot on, mate, and probably where we've all in a roundabout sort of way gone, regardless of our beliefs as to whether H&S should be part of HR or report into it or not, or the like. I think you've summed up what we've been saying quite succinctly there. But well, that's a wrap for that topic there, boys. Andy, I know you've got to shoot off, so if you've got to drop off the line, please let us know. And if we don't see you, enjoy your holiday next week, mate.
I will do. Thank you very much, guys. Great to chat to you both, and take care of yourselves.
Will do, mate. We'll talk soon, no doubt. Take care.
Take care.
Hey, Des, you got anything exciting coming up, mate, in the next couple of weeks?
Not really. I think it's just going to, with the weather that Auckland's experiencing, it's probably just going to be at home, staying dry.
Well, probably... I'm sure there's probably a number of people going through a little bit of hardship right now with this weather, because New Zealand, a little Aotearoa, has been struck by some considerable bad weather over the last few months and that. But we've got a little bit of stuff bubbling away in the background, haven't we, Des? So probably a great opportunity to get stuck into a bit of that. It's too early to share, but we're looking at something possibly around the middle of the year, I believe it might be. I don't know about you, Des, but my initial thoughts are super excited.
Yeah, same. It'll be, I think it's late June, middle of the year.
Yeah. So we've got a bit of time, and that leads probably into the next thing. So we've been umming and ahhing. We've had quite a bit of a number of people reaching out asking how they can support the show and how they can be part of this. And one of the things that we think is front and center to maximizing this opportunity, and I guess what that opportunity is really not around anything other than having people think about what they're doing in this health and safety space, as opposed to just doing. If anyone's interested in supporting the show through maybe a website development package, that would be fantastic. We've got some domain names all teed up, but there's next step. We've got our LinkedIn page, right? But next step for us, I think we're talking, it'd be really cool to get a website up and running to help promote some of the conversations that are taking place during and after the show, actually.
Yeah, definitely. It'd be great to get that sort of support. So anyone out there?
Brilliant. Hey, well, mate, listen, interesting topic today. Hopefully some people have got some food for thought, and hope you enjoy your weekend, mate. And no doubt we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Thanks, Brent. Same to you. See you then.
Will do, mate. Talk soon, and take care to all the listeners. Catch you next time.